Good afternoon and welcome to Encore Adult Memory Care Day Center here in Lewisville today. And this is part of our Caregiver Survival Guide. And today we're going to focus specifically on sundowning. Well, again, sundowning can be different for different people. As we know, everybody's a unique individual prior to having any form of dementia, and there's still a unique individual with it. But sundowning, again, doesn't occur with all of our guests.
No.
But it occurs with a lot of our guests.
Yes.
And sundowning really is best explained as a change in one of our guests' behaviors. And typically they call it sundowning towards the latter part of the day.
They get a little anxious. They get a little anxious toward the end of the day, and sometimes in the evening. Mm-hmm. So that's what we find is their anxiety level raises a little bit.
Yeah, and they don't really know exactly why. Again, it's different for most people, but the general consensus is that it's from exhaustion. They're tired. They've been around all day. They're in a potentially different environment than their home environment, so they've been trying to cope with that all day. But it also can be something as simple as low lighting, because now the sun is setting and it's changing the environment around them and it's causing the anxiety or the change in their behavior. It can be from medications. We take medications. Typically you take one pill per day. Well, obviously the distribution of that medication through the body may vary through the course of the day and may have a different effect towards the end of the day than it did in the morning, again, changing their behavior. It could be unmet needs. It could be ADLs. It could be issues that they're having towards the end of the day they don't experience other times during the course of the day. So again, it's not unusual. In fact, we would talk to family members because oftentimes we would see it in the center, especially for people, right, that were picked up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. And we would actually have some of our caregivers would give their loved one, or we would administer some sort of low-dose anxiety medication, try to front end or offload the anxiety that may come as a result of sundowning.
If people don't have anti-anxiety medication, if it's not that severe, they just get a little bit anxious, we have techniques that we can use that help aid in that and keep that kind of off their mind a little bit. So we found that if they get bored, they become anxious. And so, especially in the late afternoon, so we try to make sure that they're engaged in the late afternoon. If they're at home with you, you could maybe ask them in a very nice way, hey, got behind on my laundry. Could you please fold these towels? Or just give them a small, simple project that they can accomplish and ask them nicely to do it. And for you, as a favor to you. And a lot of times it gives them something to do and it takes their mind off of their anxiety. That's one technique that we can use.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. And again, if the reason for their anxiety is overstimulation, then lower the stimulation when they come home.
Yeah.
Even the moment they get in the car, maybe you need to turn the music off, right? And just concentrate on the individual. And when you get home, don't have all kinds of things set up ready to do, but rather talk about doing less at home than you might otherwise. And that may help them in their anxiety.
Yeah. Wind down.
So ADL are those activities that we do daily. Daily activities of daily living is what it stands for. And it's things like dressing and eating, just communicating as well. So any of those ADLs that, again, may not be impacted during the course of the day could be severely impacted as a result of sundowning at the end of the day. And the other frustration for the caregiver is that they may not sundown every day.
Yeah.
It may be a whole week of it. Again.
Right. You never know.
Yeah, and we don't know, again, what caused it, but we know they're not doing it. So we're happy that they're not doing it. But then it may show up again. And again, we won't necessarily know why.
Yeah. Everybody's journey is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So some people do sundown every day and then other people don't. So it just depends on the person.
Mm-hmm. It certainly could be. It could be the progression of the disease. Again, we don't look for radical change in behaviors. We spent a lot of time talking about that. That is, the difference between yesterday and today is dramatic. That wouldn't be a function of sundowning. But sundowning could be a component of advanced disease as well. Yeah, so I think I talked about it before, but it was, lowering the temperature, right? So when they get out, even though you meet as a loved one, you're excited to hear about their day and what happened and all that. That may not be where they're at relative to how they're feeling about things at that moment. So just be careful when you're talking to them and asking them questions that may stimulate this anxiety, because maybe, again, they can't remember, or they can't remember that they can't remember. Putting them in those situations you want to try to avoid. Mm-hmm. And have that routine, right,
yeah.
Laura?
Keep them busy. That's my number one.
Mm-hmm.
Is just try to keep them busy. And but you can reduce the noise. That's true. You can bring down the calm the atmosphere, calm
mm-hmm.
the area, and that will help us always express empathy to them. How can I help you? I'm on your side. I'm your advocate. What can I do
mm-hmm.
for you? And make sure they know that you love them and that you want to help them.
Right.
So.
Right. And then always keep track of, and that's why journaling's important during the whole process of the disease, is maybe something worked yesterday and try it again, right? Journal it. Remember what you did.
Right.
So you're not just trying again and again.
That's one thing that we found over the years is if something works one day, it's very likely to work again the next day. They don't remember what you said. They don't remember it. And so if something triggers them and you respond with something that calms them down, just remember what it was. And then you can say that really every day, until it doesn't work.
That's right.
But but a lot of times with my brother, it worked. I had certain things that I would say to calm him down that worked every time. I mean, literally every time.
Right.
So.
And the opposite is true too. Look for the triggers that are causing the sundowning.
Yeah.
Even though you may want to go out to dinner because you've been at home all day long and you think your loved one wants to do the same thing, and things may not be as they were before.
Yeah.
And in fact, what you're thinking is going to help them because you're going out to dinner like you used to do, may be a trigger for them for some of the same reasons that we talked about. The anxiety over stimulation may not be appropriate at that time. So it could be a lot of ways, right? So people could be irritable. So that's a lot of how anxiety demonstrates itself. So normally they're not, there's somebody who they weren't, right, this morning, or someone who they weren't last weekend. So you look for those changes, irritability. They may become depressed. All of a sudden they're not communicating at all. So the opposite of irritables, they just totally shut down, which is not them. So that would be something to look for when they're going through the sundowning process and faced with this anxiety.
Well, sometimes it's just a surprise to the loved one. They've been fine all day, and then all of a sudden they're just really walking around and fidgeting and acting, wanting to go home or whatever. And it just takes the caregiver by surprise sometimes. And they're like, "What's this? What's going on now? Why is my loved one doing this?"
That's right.
And it is a very common thing. It happens. And so if that happens to your loved one, just we have tips on how to lessen it a little bit. But that is a lot of what a lot of people experience.
Yeah, and the other thing is with the caregiver is, pull back for a moment. If we experience this 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, it may not even be a sign that sundowning, all of a sudden they're in that level of or process of the degree or of the disease itself. But we look for these patterns. If it happens regularly, then we started trying these techniques that we're going to help you use to slow down the sundowning process or make it easier on your loved one. But again, just one instance or two instances of anything doesn't represent anything either.
That's right. That's right. Might not ever happen again.
Right.
That's true. Pretty much everything with this disease, it could happen once and it may never happen again.
Yeah.
Or for a year or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it can be very confusing for people. It really can.
And that sounds like it makes it extra challenging too.
Well, it is very challenging. It's probably the most challenging thing ever. That's why there's so many tips and strategies, offerings, because it can be very challenging.
That's why we try to give you as many as we can.
That's right.
But again, there's a lot more of them out there. And
Yeah.
some of those are going to be unique to your loved one.
That's true. And then if they're with us, we'll figure out what it is, and we'll tell you how to handle it at home. But once you figure out how to handle it with whatever's happening with your loved one, once you figure it out, you can continue to use that, which is good in most cases. And then one day it's going to come along that you try the tried and true that always works, and boom, it doesn't work today. That happens too. But that doesn't mean it won't work tomorrow.
Right. Very true.
So it can be very confusing and difficult, but it can also be very rewarding if you do stumble upon what is going to make them happy in a time like this. If you do find it and you're able to comfort them, it's very fulfilling. You feel you do have some pat me on the back moments
Sure.
too, and so you'll know what I mean when it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
I imagine too that sundowning is challenging for the caregiver as well, because it's also at the end of their day too, right? So just like the loved ones,
'Cause they're
exhausted,
tired,
the caregiver's tired too. That's also a busy time of day where you're trying to get a lot of other things done, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. We all suffer from it, right? We still have dreams about missing our college exam or missing class or whatever it might be. That's why I think it's important to have a routine. We go back to routine. So she has or he has a routine that they use every time they pick their loved one up from wherever they're at. If they're at the adult day center, here's what we're going to do when we get into the car. Here's the routine that we're going to follow going home. And that way they've got something, so they're just not winging it every time, but they have a process.